What's going on, y'all? This is Reese Talks Wrestling here, and today I want to get some stuff off my chest about Smackdown because Smackdown, let me loosen up a little bit. Smackdown wasn't horrible. It wasn't the worst Smackdown of all time, but I do think that it set us back because we have a lot of stuff that happened on Smackdown that we dealt with last year. Well, really one big thing, and that's Cody Rhodes. Let's start off with the big stuff. The three big points I want to talk about, really two, but three big points I want to talk about. Then we get to the smaller stuff that happens on Smackdown. But we have Cody Rhodes back in the same cycles again, with him going back to the bloodline. Jacob Fatu interrupts him and Jay's promo because obviously Jay wins the Rumble and now he's talking to Cody Rhodes. Jacob Fatu interrupts and he says, Jay, you're not going to be the one to bring back the title to the family, whatnot. That's cool. But what happens at the end, and I'll skip to the ending, what happens at the end of SmackDown is Cody and Jay, they tag team against Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga, and they end up beating Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga, and then Sikoa comes out and attacks Cody Rhodes. So now Cody Rhodes is again in the midst of a bloodline feud with Jay, Jacob, and Sikoa. He's in the same exact position he was in last year, where we were complaining about, oh, Cody Rhodes doesn't have anybody to face, and now he's back in the same stuff with the bloodline feud, and now it's not even him as the biggest attraction, it's still Roman Reigns. So now we're in the same cycle as we were last year, but there was an easy way to fix this. That's why I was confused, because you could have had Jacob Fatu come out. I mean, it makes sense for Jacob coming out, right? Because Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, obviously you want people focused on championship gold, tag team gold as well. We'll talk about that later. But championship gold during WrestleMania season, the road to WrestleMania. So it makes sense for Jacob Fatu to come out. What it doesn't make sense for is for Sikoa to come out and attack Cody Rhodes. It would have made more sense if Jacob Fatu gets upset that he lost, blames Tama Tonga in some sort of way, or even if he doesn't blame Tama Tonga, attack Cody Rhodes, then Sikoa comes out and attacks him. Because if Sikoa wants to be on top, if Jacob Fatu wants to be on top, then why in the world are they not fighting each other? We have been asking or clamoring, or at least hoping, at least I've seen on the internet, hoping for a Jacob Fatu and Sikoa match to see which one's on top. Obviously, people want Jacob Fatu to win that match. But this would be the perfect way to set up for Elimination Chamber, or for the next big period, which is Elimination Chamber on March 1st. For Jacob Fatu and Sikoa to happen on Elimination Chamber, especially with Jacob Fatu losing he's probably going to lose that match. Damian Priest, actually he might win. He might win. Braun Strowman, Damian Priest. They might push Damian Priest. They might push Damian Priest. I think that would be a perfect spot for Sikoa to actually interrupt Jacob Fatu and cost him the match, because Sikoa wants to be attacked. So you could set it up there. But I feel like tonight would have been a perfect night to set it up. But even then, there was a much better way to set up a feud with Cody Rhodes if you want to give him something to do until the Elimination Chamber winner happens, because Jay probably is challenging Gunther. You could have easily just had Carmelo Hayes go back, because Carmelo Hayes had a random nonsense match with Akira Tozawa that nobody cares about. You could have easily just had him go back and start attacking Cody Rhodes. Go after championship gold. First off, Carmelo Hayes should be the U.S. champion. That should be the first thing that happens. Carmelo Hayes should be the U.S. champion. Carmelo Hayes is too talented, more talented than Shinsuke Nakamura, more charismatic on the mic, better on the mic, cuts better promos. Obviously, mic skills down pat, right? He's really good in the ring. In my opinion, he's better than Shinsuke Nakamura in the ring. He's much more athletic. He is your future. He's one of the people in the future who will lead the company, carry the company. I'll say lead. So now that you have a guy like Carmelo Hayes, wouldn't the goal to be put a title on Carmelo Hayes? Wouldn't the goal to be put a mid-card belt? So Braun Breaker has the title. He has the IC title. He's been in here about the same time as Melo. Yeah, they got drafted at the same time. Tiffany Stratton's been here for 8 months. She has the world championship. So you have a guy with the mid-card, woman with the world. Why is Carmelo Hayes not at least fighting for the title? And what is Shinsuke Nakamura doing? Me and Shinsuke have the same amount of appearances on television this year. That's how pointless the U.S. title is. So what is going on? Why does Carmelo Hayes not have matches for the U.S. title? Why are you making Shinsuke? Why did Shinsuke take the title off LA Knight, who actually had hype around him and actually had self-esteem going into his matches and stuff? Even if they were mediocre, the crowd was still chanting for LA Knight. He was still over. Why would you take the title off of him if you're going to have Shinsuke do absolutely nothing with it? If you're going to have Shinsuke do nothing with the title at all, why take it off LA Knight? Especially when you're not going to have LA Knight win matches after. So now you have LA Knight with no title. You have Carmelo Hayes with no title. So you have an over guy who could be putting over Carmelo Hayes. Why? Why are these two not have championships? You could be telling so many good stories with Carmelo Hayes and LA Knight and a bunch of other mid-card guys like a Jacob Fatu, like a Braun Strowman, something like that. Imagine if Carmelo Hayes and Braun Strowman actually had matches, like matches that had stipulations around them, like a no DQ, or you had a tables match or something like that, where Carmelo Hayes actually has an opportunity to win because it's no longer just one-on-one in the ring with a big guy who's much bigger than him and stronger than him. Now you have other stuff varying around. He could cheat to win. He could obviously wouldn't be cheating because there's weapons involved and they can be used, but you can have him cheat to win. Use tables, chairs, kendo sticks. You could actually make it believable that Carmelo Hayes could come out winning this match for the U.S. Championship. But instead, you have him fighting Akira Tozawa for no reason, and you have LA Knight losing matches. There's no point in taking the title off LA Knight if you're going to use it to elevate somebody like Carmelo Hayes or whatnot, somebody in the future. So again, what is Triple H doing with this new talent? So we have Cody Rhodes back in the same cycles that he was last year. We have Carmelo Hayes doing absolutely nothing. LA Knight losing matches for the world title to get opportunities to go after the world title. So if LA Knight's not going to get a world title, then why in the world would you take the U.S. Championship off him and give it to somebody who's not showing up on TV? And obviously that's an issue with Braun Breaker as well, but it's not Raw. We'll get to that when I talk about Raw. But back to what I'm saying, Carmelo Hayes is doing nothing. LA Knight's doing nothing. Cody Rhodes is back in the same cycles, and the Bloodline is still now the new big feud for Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. So Jey Uso's probably going to fight Gunther. Cody Rhodes is back in the same cycles. We have Carmelo Hayes doing absolutely nothing. Tiffany Stratton actually sets up it was a alright promo, I guess. Her and Charlotte Flair actually set the stage for, I believe they will have a Mania match. I actually want Charlotte Flair to face Tiffany Stratton rather than Rhea Ripley and Charlotte 3. I'd much prefer that. I don't think there's a good story, a good compelling story that we can tell with Rhea and Charlotte at this point. I think it would just be a good match versus you can actually tell a really good story with Tiffany Stratton, the underdog champion, ironically, that's trying to prove something to the big dog who always comes every time she comes into WrestleMania. She walks out as a champion for the most part. So I think that's a much more compelling story to tell than the same exact story we were told last year at Rhea and Charlotte. But that's besides the point. I think Tiffany's being treated well. I think Braun Breaker is being treated okay, I guess, at the best. And then Carmelo Hayes is being treated like a jobber, even though he's much more talented than a lot of the roster, but that's besides the point. The smaller stuff I want to talk about, Alexa Bliss, she has her first match back. I believe it was she did qualify for the Chamber, so she'll be in the Chamber match. Bianca's qualified for the Chamber. I believe Naomi's going to go after the U.S. title. I think that you have Bianca win. Me personally, I'll just share some of my fantasy booking that I'll get to later on the podcast that we'll have on another week on a different channel. I'll leave that in the description below for y'all. But I think Bianca does win the Chamber. I'd much rather see Bianca versus Rhea than Charlotte versus Rhea. That's just me, though. I think you can actually tell a compelling story between those two. The promos will be very bad because Rhea's not good on the mic. But that's besides the point, right? I think those are good things that happen. Other than that, SmackDown was kind of pointless. Like, the two big things that happened, I already kind of talked about. There was really only one big thing that happened, and that was the Cody Rhodes and Bloodline and all that. So Sikoa coming back. I think that's dumb. But I also think it's not dumb, Drew McIntyre winning the match against them. But like that was a chance for somebody to come out. I think there should be a feud between LA Knight and somebody in the mid card. I think you want these guys to go after that U.S. title. I think if you're gonna have this many titles inside of a brand like the WWE as a brand as a whole, you need to have guys constantly competing for those titles. There needs to be a set group of guys always competing for that U.S. championship. There needs to be a set group of girls competing for that women's U.S. championship. There needs to be a set of girls and guys competing for those world titles and tag team titles, etc., etc. They're doing it all right with the tag team division. You also have the men's tag team division, which I don't think they're horrible. I just don't think there's anybody super entertaining. I don't find Pretty Deadly enjoyable at all. But that's just me personally. They're kind of over. I don't think they're that over, to be honest, enough to be winning the tag team titles off of DIY. At least they're trying to build up a few with them, and they're working on the men's tag division. But when it comes to that mid-card scene, it has to be fixed. I like Naomi going after Chelsea Green. Naomi deserves the title more than Chelsea Green. I actually think that if you build up Naomi to be a credible enough champion, that's how you get talent over. Either way, I kind of don't like how SmackDown's being booked. It feels illogical. There's just so many better options for Cody Rhodes than to face and go back into the same stuff with the Bloodline. There's just so much more you could do. I feel like every week is a passing opportunity to build up good storylines. And I feel like Triple H is so focused on this long-term storytelling of getting to a point, no matter what means necessary, that he can't book in the short term. I don't think there's been any great short-term booking done at all. You can argue CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, but I really don't think that was short-term booking. It took 7 months for all that stuff to play out. So I think short-term is like 3 to 4 months. What Triple H is doing in the long run always pays off. It's not true. There should be no reason why Cody Rhodes does not have anybody else that wants to go after the title other than the Bloodline. There should be no reason on why people aren't going after the U.S. Championship and asking where Shinsuke Nakamura is at. There should be no reason why the women's tag division is completely empty and you claim to have all this talent. There's no reason for any of this stuff to happen. I'm really more excited for the Chamber because it seems like only good stuff happens on PLEs. I'm starting to have my expectations lowered for these weekly shows because nothing's changing at all. Again, we really talked about everything major to happen, and again, SmackDown's 3 hours. I should be having way more to talk about, but there's nothing significant that happens other than Pretty Deadly and DIY having a pointless feud, in my opinion. We have Bianca Belair. Obviously, she cut a promo. Her Naomi cut a promo backstage. They defeat Piper Niven. We have a bunch of talent, quote unquote, that is not being used. So I'm just confused. I don't know when triggers are going to be pulled. Obviously, we can't wait 8-9 months. Not every story needs 8-9 months. Carmelo Hayes shouldn't be not near the U.S. title. LA Knight should be not near the U.S. title. There should be no reason. If you aren't gonna push guys into the world picture, then why not? The world title card should be full of believable guys. As much as I like LA Knight, I don't think LA Knight would win a world championship because of his age and whatnot. Obviously, it's not super old for wrestling, but I still don't think LA Knight would win. So again, you're arguing a bunch of stuff that I don't believe will happen. Either way, I'm disappointed in SmackDown. SmackDown continues to disappoint me because a lot of opportunities that are given to the creative team and whatnot, they aren't taking advantage of them. There's so much room for improvement in creativity. There's so much room for improvement in the storylines. I'm just really confused on what goes on these week-to-week shows. Week-to-week shows just aren't as good as they once were, even 2 years ago. So that's really all I have to say about SmackDown because there's not a lot to talk about. Again, this is a 3-hour show, and I'm making a 14-minute video. It's ridiculous. It's probably going to be a little bit less because I'm editing it down. But with that being said, that was really all that happened on SmackDown. If you kind of missed SmackDown, just literally watch the highlights. It's there's 3-4 highlights you have to watch, and then you'll know what happened because nothing else really matters. Kevin Owens cuts a stupid promo on Sami Zayn. I don't care. I'm kind of tired of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. They beef every other Tuesday. So it doesn't to me. I'm not moved by a lot of the stuff. It feels repetitive. We're back in the same positions. And if you're gonna give Cody Rhodes this guy in between Elimination Chamber to beef with, which is 3 weeks ago, there's no point of doing that because it's 3 weeks away. But if that's the case, then you have guys come out who've already qualified. You have CM Punk go out there and cut a promo. If the draft means nothing, if being on SmackDown, if the brand split doesn't matter, then you have CM Punk go out there and you have him cut a promo on Cody Rhodes. You have them go to face again. Then you have John Cena, if he would show up to work. He's my favorite wrestler of all time, but my goodness, if you would have him show up to work, then maybe he could say something to Cody Rhodes. You have these guys who qualify. Drew McIntyre won the qualifier for Elimination Chamber. He should have been the one to attack Cody Rhodes, not Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa should have attacked Jacob Fatu. Drew McIntyre should have attacked Cody Rhodes. Again, if you're going to make these title scenes about contenders, then have a believable contender. I don't think Solo Sikoa nor Jacob Fatu are going to win the Elimination Chamber nor beat Cody Rhodes for the title. It's utterly ridiculous to believe that. So again, have believable guys be in believable situations. That's all I'm asking for, and girls, of course. Thank y'all so much for allowing me to speak to y'all and talk to y'all about my rant about what happened on SmackDown. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys thought about Raw, some improvements at Raw and SmackDown. Let me know some improvements that y'all would make for the shows if y'all were in control or what y'all would do. But again, this is where we just talk about wrestling, something that we have passion for, something that we love. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe, get all my socials in the description below. I'll see y'all next time.